About a year ago, I bought the new Remarkable Paper Pro after having the Remarkable 2 for just a couple of months. The moment I found out that Remarkable had launched a new e-ink tablet with color, I immediately, without hesitation, decided to return my Remarkable 2 and to get the new Remarkable Paper Pro despite the high price. So it's been a year now and I want to share my experience with this device. I use it daily for studying, so I'll talk about the pros and cons and whether or not you should consider getting one if you're thinking about going digital with your studies. My name is Hazar. I'm a doctor based in Germany and a study enthusiast. I love learning, studying, and taking notes. I'm not a tech expert. My knowledge of technology is very basic. So in this video, I'll be sharing my experience as a regular user who has grown absolutely hooked on this device. I first heard about e-ink technology about 3 years ago. Now, e-ink technology itself is not new. It was actually invented back in the 1970s, but it only started being used in a practical way in the early 2000s when e-readers like Kindle came out. What's exciting is actually how much it has improved in just the last couple of years. It has evolved from simple e-readers that could only mimic the look of paper for reading into full-on e-note devices that let you both read and write on a paper-like display. So how does this technology actually work? E-ink screens are made up of teeny tiny capsules that are filled with charged particles. When an electrical field is applied, those particles move around, and that's what creates the text and images you see on the screen. There are quite a few brands competing in e-ink space like Supernote, Books, and Remarkable. And of course, you've probably heard of Kindle, which is often considered the father of e-ink devices. What makes Remarkable stand out is actually the paper-like experience. The feel, the texture, the sound of the marker on the screen, and even the display itself. It all comes very close to real paper. That's the biggest selling point of the Remarkable. But as a trade-off, Remarkable has a very basic software. Some users actually prefer other brands like Books, which runs on Android. With Books, you basically get a full Android tablet with an e-ink display, which means you can run more apps and do more things with the device. Remarkable, on the other hand, says their main goal is to mimic paper as closely as possible. And that's why they keep their software very basic and simple. And for some people as myself, this minimalism is actually a feature, not a drawback. I chose Remarkable mainly for its very paper-like experience and for its minimalist features. I prefer a distraction-free environment when I study, and I wanted a device that could mimic the feel of writing on real paper as closely as possible. So how it's going on so far with the device? Well, obviously I'm enjoying the whole experience with the Remarkable Paper Pro. In fact, I can't study without having it on my desk anymore. I haven't bought a real notebook or pen in over a year now, and you should know I used to be obsessed with collecting all kinds of notebooks, pens, and pencils. Now I keep all my notes on this device. I don't have to worry about running out of space, finding room for 1,000 of notes, or losing important notes. Everything is well organized and always there when I need it. Let's first talk about organizing things on the Remarkable. The Remarkable lets you create folders, rename them, move them around, and even create folders within folders. You can also create notebooks with unlimited pages, give them names, and move them between folders. Another cool thing is the templates. Each page can have its own template, so you're not stuck using the same one for the whole notebook. And if you need to rearrange things, you can move pages around within a notebook, which is really efficient for studying, especially when you need to reorganize your notes. Now, when it comes to sharing notebooks or your files with other devices, this is where Remarkable falls a bit short. For example, it doesn't have Bluetooth, and you can't just use apps to pull your notes out of the device. What you can do though is send your files as PDFs by email. So if I want to send a file to a friend, I just email it directly from the Remarkable. You can also connect your OneDrive, Google Drive, or Dropbox to the device, which makes it easy to import and export files to the cloud. Another thing I really like is the Remarkable app for PC. With this app, you can access all your notes directly from your computer. For me, this is super important because I often use it to review or restudy my old notes on a bigger screen. The app also lets you type directly into your notes, though honestly, I rarely use that feature. You can also create files and reorganize your folders right from your computer, which makes managing everything much easier. But my favorite part is the ability to export your notes as PDFs and save them on your computer. You can also import PDFs from your computer onto your Remarkable. I use this a lot for reading medical articles and research papers. The Remarkable app, which you can download on both your phone and PC, is a great solution to balance out the simplicity of the device's software. It makes it easy to access your notes anytime, even when you don't have the Remarkable tablet with you. So, overall, when it comes to organizing, the Remarkable is simple and neat. You just create folders, and within those folders, you organize all your files in a very straightforward way. Let's talk about the writing experience and note taking in general. I've already covered the paper-like writing feel in one of my previous videos, so I won't go too deep into that here. To put it simply, it's amazing to write on this device. There used to be a few things that bothered me at first, but over time I got used to them, and now I barely even notice them. For example, the tapping noise when you write, or the frequent screen refreshing that happens every time you use color. But what's interesting is that the feel you get when you write on the device actually changes depending on the color you use. For example, writing in black gives you the most authentic paper-like feel. It feels smoother and faster because the device doesn't need to refresh as much. Personally, black is my favorite for writing on the Remarkable Paper Pro. Writing in blue and red is still very pleasing, but it feels a little less realistic compared to black. Meanwhile, writing in green and pink gives you the worst experience. It just doesn't feel as natural. Now, I don't know the technical reason behind this. The feel of the nib against the screen is a physical thing, so it might have to do with the e-ink particles or maybe even the screen texture changing slightly depending on the color. But since I'm not a tech expert, I can't say for sure. One of the most amazing features of the Remarkable is the ability to select notes and move them around. You can cut or copy something and then paste it anywhere you want, even on a completely different page. This has saved me so much time when I need to rewrite or redraw a note. Being able to move notes is especially useful with e-paper because sometimes you just want to shift something, add extra details, or reorganize your page. It makes restudying or reviewing notes a lot more efficient. Another feature I really like is the ability to draw perfect straight lines and shapes. I use this a lot when I'm making charts or information maps. Remarkable also added a new tool window, which makes switching tools much faster. For example, I usually keep one window set up for my main writing tool, like the mechanical pencil, and the second window for highlighting tools, for example. That way, I don't have to constantly open and close menus just to highlight something. And here's something I really appreciate. The Remarkable actually saves your tool settings. So even if you switch pages or close a notebook and come back later, your tool windows are still set up exactly the way you left them. It's a small detail, but it makes a big difference when you're using the device every day. You also have the ability to undo or redo actions, and you can select parts of your notes and erase them instantly. When you're working inside the notebook, you can view all the pages at once, which makes it easy to navigate. From here, you can select a page to move it, delete it, or even add a new page before or after it. You can also flip through pages quickly to find what you need, or simply use the Go to Page option to jump straight to a specific page number. This makes reviewing and organizing notes much faster and more straightforward. The Remarkable Paper Pro feels strong, and overall it responds noticeably faster than the Remarkable 2. I did run into a problem in this regard for the first 10 months I had used the device. Sometimes the display would suddenly get covered with a strange red tint that made the device almost impossible to use. At first, I only noticed it when I used a lot of color on a page, so I thought maybe it was just a part of the screen's refreshing process, but over time the issue became more frequent, and the only way to fix it was by restarting the device. One day 2 months ago, the red tint didn't go away even after a restart, and that's when I decided to contact their remarkable support team. To their credit, they replied immediately and told me this was not normal. They offered me a free replacement, and within a short time I had a brand new device. This wasn't the first time I had contacted Remarkable, and each time their customer service was quick and helpful. I've personally had a very positive experience with their team. I've now been using the device for about 2 months, and I'm very happy with it. No issues, no more red tinting, and honestly, I was surprised that I had been stuck with a faulty device for almost 10 months, but at least I know now that this issue isn't something normal with the Remarkable. It was just a rare defect. The device, however, still has some limitations, especially when it comes to performance with color. When there's too much color on a single page, the device slows down noticeably, and the refreshing takes longer and happens more often. This really shows that even with the rapid and significant progress in color display technology, we're still not quite at the point where an e-ink tablet can perform like a regular tablet. For example, Kaleido technology, which is used in books e-ink tablets, relies on fewer physical color particles to display an image. This makes it noticeably faster and more responsive than Remarkable. But here's the trade-off. Kaleido feels less paper-like, and the color saturation looks less pleasant compared to the canvas color display of the Remarkable. Personally, I'm really excited about this. This competition between brands and their different e-ink technologies has become intense over the last couple of years. And that means we're going to see huge developments in e-ink tablets in the near future. As someone who studies a lot and takes tons of notes, I can't wait to see where this technology goes. Speaking of color, I actually really like how it looks on the Remarkable. The colors have more a pale soft look, and personally I prefer that. Even when I use real pens and paper, I usually go for lighter shades and avoid very bright colors. But I did notice two things. First, the colors you see in Remarkable's marketing videos and photos look more saturated than what you actually get in real life. Second, when you access your files on PC through the app, the colors appear brighter and less natural compared to how they look on the tablet itself. Now for the most important question. Should you get this device yourself? Well, it depends on your preferences and also your budget, because this device is really expensive. If you're like me, a little crazy and obsessed with taking notes, then honestly, you're not gonna regret it. I'm super happy with my Remarkable. Actually, I'm thinking about getting another e-ink device just for when I'm on the go. The Remarkable is a bit big, so I'd love a smaller e-ink device that I can throw in my bag and take with me when I travel to the cafe or even to the hospital, since as a resident doctor, I constantly need to write things down and review them later. But you need to know, e-ink tablets are in general very expensive. The technology is still evolving, so I think the price reflects that. And of course, I totally understand people who say, why spend all this money when a simple notebook and pen can pretty much do the same job? Of course, for a lot of people, like college students in general who don't make a lot of money. I'm a doctor, I work in Germany, I make good money, but for students, I can totally understand that e-ink devices might not be the most practical purchase. At the end of the day, it's all about what brings you happiness. For me, writing, note-taking, studying, and learning are huge sources of joy. Spending money on tools that support that passion makes me happy. And if you're like me, you're gonna love the Remarkable. It has truly become my study buddy, and honestly, I can't imagine my life without it now. I was actually surprised at how easily e-ink tablets replaced real paper in my life. I used to have dozens of notebooks lying around everywhere. My parents in Syria, they called me and they were like, "You still have a lot of notebooks here. Do you still need them?" And I freaked out and I was like, of course I still need them. Please don't throw them away. In Syria, I still have, a closet of notebooks. And I have no idea how I'm gonna bring them here to Germany. I'm not going back to Syria ever again, so I have to bring them here. I'm very happy with the Remarkable. I don't have to worry about leaving dozens of notebooks behind me when I move or travel or anything. The boost that e-ink tablets can give you as a note taker, as a writer, as someone who cares about time management is absolutely amazing. I felt that right away and I decided to stick with it. One more good thing, because this technology is still new and a lot of people are not used to it yet, some e-ink brands offer a trial period. I think up to 3 months, but I'm not sure. Like Remarkable and Supernote, I think. So basically, you can test the device, and if you don't like it, you return it, and you get all your money back. And that's why I'm planning to try the new Remarkable Paper Pro Move, which is basically a mini version of Remarkable Paper Pro, or maybe even check out the Supernote Nomad, which is also a smaller e-ink tablet that looks great for on-the-go use. So that's it for today. Thanks a lot for letting me share this weird obsession with e-ink tablets, note-taking and studying in general, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.